Graham PLATNER. Graham. What have you done? What have you done, old Grammy boy, old Graham cracker? All right, so there's a lot to talk about here, but let's dive into it. So Maine State Press says the following. A recently surfaced video shows Maine Democratic U.S. Senate candidate Graham PLATNER with a chest tattoo of the SS Totenkopf, the skull and crossbones emblem used by Nazi death's head units. PLATNER has stated he got the tattoo while drunk as a young Marine on shore leave in Croatia and was unaware of its Nazi affiliation until recently. Okay, so here is what the tattoo looks like. Here is the Nazi symbol. Now, I must cop to this. Regardless of how political I am and how closely I follow all this stuff, I genuinely and sincerely had no fucking idea that this was a Nazi symbol. None. When I think of a Nazi symbol, I think of the swastika, and I think of the SS, like the lightning bolt SS. That's what I think of. I literally have never seen this and would never have attributed it to some Nazi shit. In all honesty, where my mind goes when I first see this is pirate. I think pirate. That's a pirate thing. Like skull and crossbones, I immediately think pirate. So now you could hear that and you could say, hey, Kyle, you're ignorant or naive on it. Fair enough, but I genuinely did not know that. And my guess is probably a majority of Americans are with me. Like, I would guess a majority of Americans are with me in that they know the swastika, of course, is a Nazi symbol, and they probably know or maybe like 60% know that the lightning bolts, the SS, that's Nazi symbology. But this, I really doubt that a majority of people know that. All right. Now, having said that, let's dive a little deeper here. So, this is an important point to make. Maine State Press says the following. New details are emerging about the recent Politico article on Democratic U.S. Senate candidate Graham PLATNER. The report highlighted a deleted Reddit account allegedly tied to PLATNER, but notably did not explain how that account was located or verified. Multiple political sources now claim that advanced data analysis tools, possibly including Palantir or similar AI-driven technology, may have been used to trace the archived account and compile identifying information linking it to PLATNER. As of now, Politico has not disclosed the technical methods or sources behind the discovery. Holy fucking shit. So in layman's language, what that means is who was behind digging up the old Reddit account, which was just used for a week or two to fucking drag his name through the mud because of old accounts he posted on, old comments, I should say, that he posted on Reddit and elsewhere. It looks like this was literally a Palantir op. A Palantir op. So who contacted Palantir? Who got in touch with them to try to get them to dig this up? Well, we do know that Graham's been running around saying that what's happening in Gaza is a genocide. He's been relentless in pointing out that it's a genocide. That is not something the political establishment likes, as you all know. So what we have is, it's a corporate Democrat op. I'm sure the Janet Mills campaign, who's now his primary opponent, I'm sure they were sitting on this file. Where'd they get this file from? Well, did they get it from AIPAC? Janet Mills, she's decent on domestic policy, on economics, but she's fucking horrible on Israel and Gaza. She's terrible on that. So my guess is Janet Mills, the corporate Democrat establishment tried to get her to run because they don't want this guy PLATNER winning. And then, AIPAC worked with Palantir to dig up some fucking dirt on him. And then they end up running this story. That's my guess as to exactly how this came about. Okay, now let's get to what Graham PLATNER says in response, because he did this long interview with the Pod Save guys, and they didn't hold back. They asked him real questions about, all the stuff in his background, about the tattoo, about the posts and all that. And here's what he says. Let's watch.
In kind of a non-traditional campaign move, your team actually shared some opposition research on you with me. It's a video from, I believe...
So the reason they did that is because they clearly knew that the Janet Mills campaign, his primary opponent, they got this video, right? And then again, the question is, where do they get that from? This instance is a little different. I actually think that this video, as he's about to explain, where people saw the tattoo on his chest, it's from like a wedding that he had that his family had shown. And so there was some source that somehow slipped it to the Janet Mills campaign. But the old Reddit posts for sure link back to a fucking AIPAC smear campaign dug up by Palantir, or some people even say there's companies out there that you pay $15,000 and you could dig up somebody's entire fucking internet history, even deleted shit. And so there's also like a broader question here about just privacy in general, that like anything anybody's ever done ever on the internet, even if you get rid of it, they can still dig that up, tie it back to you, and effectively they could try to drag your name through the mud over shit that happened fucking 14 years ago that could have been a joke or whatever. Like, it's getting fucking squirrely out there, bro. It's getting Minority Report type shit out there.
A decade ago. Let's just watch an excerpt and then we should talk about it.
I gotta mute this because I don't want to get copyright, but it's the song Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus, and Graham PLATNER is singing it in booty shorts. And this was at a wedding or like a wedding party or something like that.
Watching there was Graham wearing just his boxer briefs, singing.
The Marine Corps Silkies. Those are Marine Corps running shorts.
Pardon me, Silkies. First of all, great song choice. Tell us what's happening there, where you are. There's probably some listeners who are very confused. And the reason that we are showing this video is because at the very end, you can see a tattoo on your chest. And I've been told that some of your political opponents are telling reporters that that tattoo has a Nazi affiliation. And I would like to know, is that accurate? Are you a secret Nazi?
I am not a secret Nazi. Actually, if you read through my Reddit comments, I think you can pretty much figure out where I stand on Nazism,
right,
and anti-Semitism and racism in general. I would say a lifelong opponent.
Yeah, so let me just point out, if you ask the people who are saying this is a deal breaker and they could never support Graham, if you ask them, okay, so do you think he's a Nazi? Even those people will usually say, no, of course not. And the reason the answer is no is because if you look at all of the old Reddit posts that they dug up, if anything, the criticism is, bro, you've, at least in your whole posting history, you've always been very far left. You called yourself a fucking communist at one point, right? And so there isn't a single hint, there's not a whiff of any actual Nazi shit in his comment posting history. When he thought nobody was watching and nobody would see these things, it was always, if anything, super far left. So that's why this attack feels very gross, is like, you're saying he's a Nazi without saying he's a Nazi while knowing he's not a Nazi, right? And so there's something very icky about that. Because, like, even the people bringing it up are going, well, of course he's not a Nazi, but this tattoo was a Nazi tattoo. And it's like, I genuinely believe him that he had no idea when he got it. In fact, to give away a little information about myself here, so the tattoo on my arm is for when my dad died. So that had like a deep meaning. The one on my back is copying a tattoo my grandfather had. The two on my left arm were literally just me going, I don't know, I'll get some design shit. Doesn't have to mean much. And then I picked like some fucking tribal armband. And the other one I picked was what I thought was just this cool design that was like almost like this ninja star type thing, right? Like tribally ninja star type thing. And so I picked that. Well, it turns out, guys, and I didn't know this, that was a fucking Metallica tattoo. Now, you know, my music taste, I'm more of a hip hop, R&B, pop kind of guy. I've always been like that. And so I was never really into Metallica, so it kind of makes sense that I wouldn't really know what the Metallica thing was. But it literally took somebody seeing that on my arm, watching a video of mine, and then like super chatting into Kyle and Corin and saying, hey, by the way, that's a Metallica tattoo. And I was like, no, it's not. And I looked it up and I was like, oh shit, I literally have a Metallica tattoo and I had no fucking idea. This thing has been on me for over a decade. And I didn't know until like last month that it was a Metallica tattoo, right? And so I guess my point is, I totally believe him because I literally have a very similar story. The other thing is, even though it's a Metallica tattoo, I also want to get stuff added to it and I want to change it a little bit simply because, not because of the Metallica things, it doesn't bother me that some people think I have a Metallica tattoo, even though that wasn't the intent. But it also does kind of somewhat look a little Nazi-ish or Nazi adjacent. And so I kind of want to change it for that reason. So like, I actually can very closely relate to what he's saying here, but let's continue.
The video is from my brother's marriage to his wife, to my sister-in-law, who I was serenading. I told them that my wedding gift to them would be my embarrassment. And so I performed a lip sync version of Miley Cyrus's Wrecking Ball to my sister-in-law on the day of her wedding to my brother. And now, of course, that embarrassment, which was mostly just held internally in the family, as we always watch that video at family events and laughed, is now shared with the world. So I feel like I'm just going to give them a wedding gift for the rest of my life, which is great. I love them deeply. The reason, by the way, the reason of this video, Saturday was their 10th wedding anniversary.
Oh, congrats.
And my sister-in-law was showing everybody the video. And I was like, oh, yeah, there it is. There's me being embarrassed. But what we also, so in 2007, I was a machine gun section leader with Kilo Company, 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines. We were on the 2-2 Mu, and it was my 3rd deployment. My previous 2 had been to Fallujah and then Ramadi, 2006. And we went ashore in Split, Croatia, myself and a few of the other machine gun squad leaders, and we got very inebriated. And we did what Marines on Liberty do, and we decided to go get a tattoo. And we went to a tattoo parlor in Split, Croatia, and we chose a terrifying looking skull and crossbones off the wall because we were Marines, and skulls and crossbones are a pretty standard military thing. And we got those tattoos. And then we all moved on with our lives. And I actually joined the Army after that, where I got, I had to go to MEPS. I got screened. Later on, I got a security clearance and a full screen when I went to work for the State Department as a contractor doing security for the ambassador to Afghanistan in 2018. And I've also just lived my entire life like a regular person with a skull and crossbones on their chest, which by that I mean taking my shirt off, performing Miley Cyrus songs in front of my extended family, and to my sister-in-law, and just taking my shirt off at the beach.
Right, presumably going to the beach, yeah.
I mean, I went to college, I went to the gym, I did all the things, and at no point in this entire experience of my life did anybody ever once say, "Hey, you're a Nazi." It never came up until we got wind that in the opposition research, somebody was shopping the idea that I was a secret Nazi with a hidden Nazi tattoo. And I can honestly say that if I was trying to hide it, I've not been doing a very good job for the past 18 years.
Yeah.
So
you're a self-described communist, but also a Nazi.
I will say the fact that I've managed to go from communist to Nazi in the space of 4 days, according to the people who are trying to do this to me, I find to be quite a spectacular turn of events, but
So what's really interesting to me in the fallout of this is if you go watch that full interview on the PodSave YouTube channel and you read the comments, I mean, their audience is mostly liberals. I wouldn't say a crazy number of leftists watch them, but it's mostly liberals. And you read through it, and the liberals are going, yeah, this is crazy. This guy's obviously not a Nazi. This is like a fucking smear campaign. And it's good that he aired it all out, and, we appreciate his commentary, and he seems like a good guy, right? So you got like liberals defending him, but then I've seen a number of leftists immediately throwing him under the bus and going, well, this is unacceptable. And look, I get it, because some people fear, oh my God, this might be like another John Fetterman that's happening. But John Fetterman was always sort of low-key pro-Israel, and then he had a stroke and got literal brain damage, and then he became right-wing on everything. But he was always kind of pro-Israel, right? And that was always like the little bit of a red flag there. He was for Medicare for all, he supported Bernie Sanders, but he was pro-Israel. So it was like, okay, bad on the Israel part, but good on the rest. Then he just went full right-wing. There's no indication whatsoever that this guy is pro-Israel at all. In fact, if anything, it's the opposite. He's leaning into calling what's happening in Gaza a genocide. He was a Michael Brooks fan and a Majority Report fan. All of his Reddit shit posts are like, I'm a communist type posts. So, and then the other thing is people say, oh, this is giving the right too much ammunition. They will call us fucking communists and Marxists and Nazis and fascists no matter what. If it's Janet Mills, his opponent, they will call her a communist, a Marxist, and a Nazi and a fascist. Say, oh, but there's more evidence that he is. Yes, but then the question is, who can fight better? Like, I'm sorry, I'm not partaking in this thing anymore where we do the fucking circular firing squad and say, we're doing the right's dirty work for them. Even by having this conversation, I feel like I'm doing the right's dirty work for them. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they're not even talking about it. Right now, I just see leftists trying to shit on Graham PLATNER, and they're doing the right's dirty work for them. And I'm sorry, it doesn't make you holier than thou that you fell for a fucking AIPAC Palantir smear campaign. Because he's not a Nazi, everybody knows he's not a Nazi. Even the people who are angry about the tattoo admit he's not a Nazi. So, like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Why are we wasting our time? Now, I will say, this is not the thing. Like, if you were to say, look, I'm sorry, I can't vote for Graham, and I'd support the opponent, the only argument that really I can understand is if people say, look, man, he did 4 tours in, like, an illegal fucking wars, right? And he briefly worked for fucking Blackwater. That I get, of just being like, I'd rather have a non-Iraq war criminal, fucking Blackwater person. I'd rather have that. Like, I can understand that argument. But, I mean, the counter to that, of course, is it was literally those experiences that made him go, oh my God, war is fucking evil. I'm partaking in evil. That is not acceptable. And I need to, like, cleanse my soul. And so then he goes fucking far left and goes, I'm a communist. Fuck all this imperialist shit. Fuck all this fascist shit. Now I'm for peace. Now I'm going to crusade against war. Now I'm going to crusade for Medicare for all. So he had the proper reactions to those things in the moment. You understand what I'm saying? Now, having said that, again, I can understand somebody saying, well, just the fact, like, I just don't want to vote for anybody who's partaken in these illegal wars. I get that. And if that's your prerogative, that's fine. But do not aid and abet the fucking smear campaign, right? If you're going to support Janet Mills, if you're going to vote for Janet Mills, that's fine. Go right ahead. But don't fucking aid and abet what we know is a smear campaign. And that's what it is. It is a smear campaign. It came from AIPAC. It came from Palantir. It came from the Oppo research dump by Janet Mills. And Janet Mills, She's 77 years old. She doesn't fight nearly as well as he does. I'll give her credit in that she's good on domestic issues. She has a solid domestic policy record. And she does deserve credit for that. But she's also fucking horrible on Israel. She total cuck to Israel, supports the genocide. And so, like, just understand what you're saying. And then some people go, oh, well, why not have like another DSA endorsed candidate run? And it's like, but then all that happens is Graham and the DSA candidate split the vote and fucking Janet Mills definitely wins. So why not just skip the middleman and just support Janet Mills if that's what you're going to do? So it's just, that doesn't make sense. It does. And the other thing I've heard is, oh, I think this is evidence that maybe he's like a deep state op or something. Like he infiltrated the left as like, you know, a pro deep state CIA operative type who's going to get in there and just fucking be totally right wing. And that I just don't buy. Because if that's the case, why did he spend like over a decade, like 15 years, in fact, shit posting and lefty posting like crazy? You know, posting like an unhinged person on the Chapo Trap House subreddit. Like, you wouldn't spend 15 years doing that to me. Like, really? That's how long you're going to fucking plot this like devious plan? No, of course. That doesn't make sense to me. So I don't buy that. But I just find it very bizarre and very weird that you have like a lot of liberals are defending him and a lot of leftists are going, it's over. It's the straw that broke the camel's back. And like, I don't know, man. I just think that's some bitch-made shit. Like, it's kind of crazy how the right understands that politics is a power game. They get that. Politics is about power. And so they don't destroy their own. They point their guns at the left and they fucking are ruthless and relentless and they circle the wagons if an attack lands on their own. But on the leftist side, it's like, oh, we'll become the fucking ravaging hyenas for you and like kneecap our strongest soldier. And that's bullshit. And by the way, let me just also throw this out there too. I love this one. Folks online spending a lot of time talking about Graham PLATNER's tattoo today while Axios is going off on him for having an Antifa super soldier sticker and being a member of the Socialist Rifle Association. What a race to cover here in Maine. So again, in other words, the same fucking day, they're going, Nazi tattoo, he's a Nazi. He's a Nazi. They're going, Antifa super soldier, Socialist Rifle Association, communist, too far left, Antifa super soldier. And look, I'm going to say it one more time. The right is going to accuse Janet Mills or Graham PLATNER of being a communist, fascist, Nazi, Antifa person. They don't care. Like, they make this argument against fucking Hillary Clinton, right? And so the question is, who do you want to be there to make the counter arguments to reframe the conversation? I think Graham would be better at that. To say, oh, okay, you're going to accuse me of that. How about the fact that you just kicked 17 million people off their fucking healthcare and sentenced thousands of them to their death, and you just kicked 3 million people off food stamps and sentenced a bunch of them to starve? Let's have that conversation. The reason why you don't want to talk policy substance with me is because you know I'll kick your ass. You know that Medicare for all is correct and everybody deserves healthcare. You know we should end the wars while you vote for the fucking wars. So I want somebody who can reframe the conversation and focus back on the issues and knows how to fight. And I'm sorry, but he's better at that than Janet Mills. I mean, look, when push comes to shove, whoever gets through the primary gets through the primary and deserves everybody's support on the liberal and left side. There's no doubt about that. But in this moment, I just feel like I want to take a shower watching everybody pretend like this is something it's not, right? To pretend like this is evidence of him actually being a Nazi when there's literally no indication of him being a Nazi. And if anything, it's a communist. It's very weird and very gross and very bizarre. And unfortunately, I think that some of this stuff is landing. The other conversation I have, which we don't need to get into now, is he handling it well, right? Like, and Crystal says she thinks he is. The comments in the pod save comment section seem to point in the direction that he is handling it well. I'm a little more jaded in that I don't like that he's showing sort of any weakness about it. You know, like, I didn't, like, he apologized for some of the shit posts back in the day, and on that, I sort of want to be like, don't even apologize. You know, like, that's what I'm so sick of. I'm so sick of, the right never has to apologize for anything ever. But, like, some old fucking lefty shit post, and all of a sudden you got to, like, grovel to the country. Like, no, fuck that. Because then you're having the conversation they want you to have. You understand what I'm saying? Like, no, reframe the conversation and go on the fucking offense. So if anything, I feel like, stop fucking apologizing, right? But I don't know. The chips will fall where they may in terms of whether or not he handled the fallout well. But we're trying to get him on Crystal Kyle and Friends and to talk about everything, not just this. But it really is a shame to see everybody sort of agreeing to play pretend that because he has this tattoo, therefore the implication is he's a Nazi, even though everybody knows he's not a Nazi, but the implication is that he's a Nazi, or the indication is, well, now he clearly can't be the person to represent the Democratic side. And it's like, do you understand our opponents? Like, there are actual Nazis in power right now. Stephen Miller is an actual fucking Nazi. Donald Trump was on tape literally saying how he sexually harasses women and grabs them by the pussy. He's literally on video on Fox and Friends saying we should murder the family members of terrorists, right? These are people who are arming and funding the sniping of children in the face done by Israel. And so in the midst of that happening, we're going to fucking have a debate about a tattoo? A fucking tattoo that was a skull and bones that he didn't even fucking know indicated what it indicated? Like, it's all... I'm sorry, the Oppo dumps on the left are just fucking undefeated. And so many people are falling for the AIPAC, Palantir, corporate dem op right now. And it's very, very disturbing to me. But shout out to all the liberals who kind of immediately saw through it. I feel like the liberals have become leftists very quickly. And so that's why the liberals are reacting like I would expect leftists to react. But then a lot of leftists, I don't know, they're like hypersensitive about stuff like this. And I think they care more about the optics of it than anything else. And they don't like the optics of it. And so maybe that's why they're reacting as they're reacting. But shout out to the liberals who sort of saw through this and realized it for the bullshit it is. And everybody who's sort of adding to the pylon right now, you really need to fucking reevaluate. Like I said, there are legitimate criticisms of Graham, but this one is not fucking it. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.